Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Worknet's first webinar. My name is Boaz Arbel. I'm a co-founder and chief revenue officer at Worknet, previously vice president customer success at Profit alongside, and the leader of ICSEF, the Israeli Customer Success Executives. I'd like to ask our panelists today to introduce themselves. Dear panelists, who wants to go first?
I guess they say ladies first. I'll go first.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. I'm Varda Tirosh, Chief Customer Officer at Optimove. I'm leading the customer organization, which includes different disciplines other than customer success, but CS is definitely my passion. I've been one of the pioneers of the customer success movement in Tel Aviv, and really happy to be here today.
Ziv?
Okay, I am Ziv. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at AppsFlyer. I've been doing customer success since 2013, and I'm very connected to this webinar as I have teams all over the world in different platforms, different IAMs, etc. Go ahead.
Or Guz, VP of Customer Success at Velocity. I've been living and breathing customer success for a while. I'm excited to be here today.
All right. Thank you very much, Varda, Ziv, and all. Team collaboration platforms, mainly Slack and Microsoft Teams, have recently become widely used for business collaboration, from POCs through onboarding, ongoing customer success service, and support. But like with most things, too much of a good thing can cause problems. When it comes to working with customers, you don't want to miss messages or lack the ability to properly manage those communications, right? Are you concerned that customers will abuse the team collaboration tools and circumvent support? Perhaps you fear customers' messages will be lost in a black hole, or that your customers will expect an immediate reply. That's all legit concerns. So thank you for joining us today to hear from these top customer success leaders how they experience modern collaboration and learn about latest technologies and best practices to help you develop personal connections with customers and create a stellar customer experience using team collaboration platforms. During the webinar, we'll be asking you some questions, so please stay tuned and reply to the polls. We will then analyze the results and the panelists will refer to. Also, as we go, please make sure you write comments and questions for us. We leave some time at the end of the webinar and we'll try to answer most, if not all of them. First things first, let's start with a basic question. What is the added value using Slack with customers? Is that for better customer engagement? Is that for casual communication? You can pick more than one. It can be all of them if you want. All right. So 77% of you said better customer engagement. 50% of you said casual communication drives unique insights. And 50% said becoming one team with a customer. I'd like to hear more about that. And a third of the answers said higher customer satisfaction. That's actually pretty surprising. I thought that would be more. So I'd like to ask you, panelists, why would you establish a shared Slack channel with customers? What are the different use cases for doing that? Who do you have on each channel and what are the benefits for you? I invite you to jump in whenever you're ready to answer that.
So I'll start. I think if you look at the survey, I think that all these answers are exactly what we want to have with an enterprise customer. I think the role of the customer success manager evolved to be a strategic trusted advisor. And I think that the advantages of having that customer one Slack message away and the responsiveness and, I preach of a non-commercial customer success manager. So that a customer also shares with us everything. So I think that's definitely the biggest advantages of having that direct channel and responsiveness from the customer.
Okay.
I'll go next. So we use this mainly to increase the time to value. When we initially started using Slack with customers, and this is still the case, we're mostly using it for technical onboarding. And what we found that sometimes, like, we have engagement with technical people on the other side, that they live inside of Slack and they want really quick communication, and we wanted time to value. And many times we're dependent on the technical people on the other side and on their responsiveness and their ability to implement things quickly, so we can have the end user start using our platform. Having Slack with those teams really, really helped getting better results and just faster time to value. So this is the main use case and the most important one. And we do feel that it gave us what we wanted.
I'd like to second Varda here. From my experience, when the audience is very technical, it's really natural to use Slack, and we get better engagement talking about things we wouldn't be discussing otherwise through more traditional channels like email. Things move faster. If you'd like to solve something quick, you can do that, whether it's an outage, an onboarding, a tactical or more strategic type of effort. And there are many different use cases we've been using Slack for, from break fixes and how to solve those quick. You can push proactive announcements. You can use it for alerts, even internal use cases. So all of the above.
Mm-hmm. So, you said even for internal. So do you have double channels for each external channel with the customer? Do you have an internal one? Is that
actually
must?
It's not a must. You need to understand the need and the capacity. When you have many customers and you'd like to support tech touch, maybe it's impossible. But when you deal, Ziv mentioned the enterprise customers. So when you have the capacity to pay additional attention, then you can have multiple channels with a customer, one with automations for alerts, one with a small team, very technical, one with the entire company, where you can show the value, you can push the value in front of the customer. So yeah, I've been using multiple channels with customers in my past, and sometimes just internal ones, so we can have internal discussions within the company about a specific customer. All worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
I would add to that is that for us, we have an internal Slack channel for every client. Sometimes a lot of teams are working with the clients, and it's great for fast collaboration between the different teams. And many times we don't want the customers to be involved in those discussions. So it's about the clear advantage of collaboration between multiple people. And going back to the first point, basically time to value all goes back to quick and rapid engagement. Another use case that I can mention here is under what we call ME, major events. If we have major technical incidents with client, we immediately open a Slack channel with the client for really quick resolution of whatever the issue is. And I think today this is kind of what people expect, is that when there is a problem, like especially if it's a major one, they want to be served very, very well and very, very quickly. And a joint Slack channel will.
I must add here, one, I think that we speak specifically about Slack, but there's a lot of channels. And I think that if you look geographically per country, there's the instant messaging service of the country. Specifically also, I think that the business world advanced to Slack. Everyone are over Slack. We have hundreds of customers over Slack. And I think that the advantages, in addition to what the audience said, I think that there is a kind of a fatigue in email, and there's a less responsiveness in email. And now the same information we are sending on a newsletter, we are sending to those 400 enterprise customers over Slack. And then I know that they saw it. I see emojis. I see engagement on that. I think that it's the next level of communication. Even open rates of 30% over email and click, everyone sees here something different. But I think we want to have the direct channel and to see the engagement of 50 to maybe 80%. That's what I want to see.
Okay, that's a very good point. It's very valid for different companies working with different industries, different geographies. That's very good. But a short question I want to ask all of you is, how early actually would you start in the customer journey? Would you set up a Slack channel? And do you seize that after the onboarding is completed, or do you just go with it along the customer's journey all the way?
My most common use case is for technical onboarding. It starts from day one, right after the contract is signed, kickoff, starting technical onboarding. So it's immediately when it moves to the customer organization. So really quickly, we don't continue the Slack channel after onboarding is completed. It's a decision we made as a company. We don't think that CSM can, be available in response to clients in the expected time that, instant messaging is basically coming with. And after the technical implementation is completed, the customers know we're cutting off this channel. We would bring it back only for major events. And also this will be temporary.
So for us, same thing when it comes to when do we start a channel. In my experience, we started the channel right after the onboarding kickoff call when we introduced the people, and right away we create a channel. As for when do we close the channel, from one company I worked with where we worked with enterprise customers, it was cradle to grave. We kept the channel on, and later on in the conversation today, we'll talk about how we were able to support that, because without additional technology and implementation, it wasn't possible because we couldn't support it. And as Jacob wrote as a disadvantage, yes, as is, if you use Slack as is, yes, I agree it's a disadvantage, but there are ways to solve it. And only once it was solved, we're able to continue and support customers using our support platform through Slack. But we'll talk about that.
I see more and more prospects starting our engagement. They engage with us, with the sales team over Slack, not from the beginning, but when it's coming to the negotiation, security, the latest steps in the deal. And again, I don't see any reason to stop that channel after. I think what's really, really important, and again, I think here there's a huge product gap, but I think that the set of expectation is what's really needed here. So if we are, we signed a deal of $500,000 with an enterprise customer, and we are now setting the expectation saying this is a channel that will be live between the CSM and the key champions, and then support is via Zendesk. So if you want to get the support, if you want to get the SLA that you expect, you go to Zendesk, and we will orchestrate that from here. But I think that set of expectations is a great step. The product gap is something that we will see will be very interesting in the next years.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And in speaking of gaps and concerns, I'd like to ask the audience the next question about your concerns. So what are your main concerns using Slack or any other immediate messaging system today? You can pick more than one. So the most majority, and it equals to cannot commit to immediate answering. Of course, how can you if it's not all aligned to measurement and SLA? I would like to hear more about that from our panelists, and can easily miss messages. Okay. Then the next concern is customers will abuse the channel. And I would like to hear more about setting expectations with customers. So yeah, it goes when to use, what to ask, how soon, how quick you can expect the answers. And half of you, a little more than half, said that it's hard to manage priorities. So with that, I'd like to hear from our panelists, what were your concerns when using Slack with customers, and how did you handle it? Now, I mean, your personal concerns, your leadership concerns, your own team members. Share with us, please.
Well, I guess I didn't go first yet. I'll take the lead on this one. So I had the same concerns as the people here in the crowd. SLAs, missing messages. Daniel Goldfeld mentioned, how do we actually document all the communications? So we had all the concerns, the same ones, and we squashed most of it by implementing an integration between Slack and our support platform. At first it was Zendesk, then it was Salesforce, but we use a third party, and then we built something in-house, but eventually we were able to take a thread over Slack, whether it's us or the customer, ideally the customer, using an emoji to create a ticket, and behind the scenes for every thread, you have a support ticket. You're committed to SLAs, the same SLA as a support ticket. You have historical knowledge capturing. You can run statistics on the types of tickets and metrics that customer support uses. It helped us prevent customer success from becoming customer support. So we were able to define some roles and responsibilities and processes to know that, okay, a ticket was created, we'll handle it as a support ticket. And in some cases, customer success chimed in and took the conversation forward. But overall, it was very important for us to have an actual ticket behind the scenes wired to our support platform. So it's more of the same, and it's just a different GUI, you may say, for your ticketing system. So that's how we solved most of our problems with the technology and some process definition.
I completely agree about the process, the process part. Obviously, I had the same concerns mostly about like responsiveness. People have meetings during the day, they have other tasks they need to fill. It's really hard to be on the chat all day. It's very distracting. But I think we made like a very, very good alignment with customers on, what their expectations should be and what kind of SLAs they can expect to answers. And we made it very clear who should they tag on which issues. So they're not like tagging everyone for everything and like having everyone had to deal with everything. So putting those alignments and limitation into the engagement and have clear processes, internal and external, really made it so much better. And we've seen that customers don't typically abuse it. All right. And it's like, okay, I have a question. I need an answer for this to get moving to the second part of the implementation. Okay, technical person comes in, answer the question, move forward. They don't use it for, things that are completely irrelevant. And if they do so, there's always going to be someone that's going to direct them to another channel. But all in all, having processes and alignment, it's what makes it like manageable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For me, from the leadership perspective, I'm missing, and again, we have Slack, but we have also other channels. We're missing security and authentication and governance. I want to see a world where even if it's not sold for commercial sum of money, but I do want to see an asset in Salesforce that will say that this customer should get Slack support, Slack Connect support, and then the Slack Connect channel connects to the asset, and I also know what is that channel. And also when we have meetings and emails with customers, I have the metadata of that as a leader. I don't have the metadata of the instant messaging, which is a big point for us to measure the responsiveness, by the way, of both sides. Again, set of expectations, customers knows that we don't expect the CSM to answer within 4 hours, whatever we set. But I also want to know what is the responsiveness of the customer. It means a lot.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I would even add that to a health score of a customer, because if the customer expects me to be on top of everything and reply immediately, but they are slacking, pun not intended here, but if they're slacking to reply and they take their time, I would like to be able to reflect that and at least internally to show us what it means and to compare. But I would like to double click on setting expectations. That's something that I hear a lot from people saying, I don't know, I have enough issues to deal with customers. I don't need another front to open if I don't have to. So how did you solve that, or how are you still solving that ahead of time? And when you actually hit someone who is using it too much or is expecting you to be faster on answering?
I'll start. So I think for me, like many times we had a situation with customers when we said, okay, onboarding is completed, we're shutting down the channel. They were like, no, we want to keep it on. We're going to have some more stuff. Please leave it on. We want to have this engagement. And we just said no, politely, but very firmly. Sorry, this is how we're working. This is how we manage our engagement with clients. you're going to get the best service post Slack as well, but it's going to be a no. Okay. So I felt like we have to be firm with that because we decided knowingly that we're not going to have a Slack channel with every client and the same quick instant messaging on an ongoing basis. So it's about like having those alignments, having those processes in place and make sure that, you know, you stand behind them and doing them obviously in advance. So anyone who is considering to moving to Slack with customers, don't do it before you set up like really clear sets of rules and standards and processes around this.
Thank you. I'd like to refer to two questions that were asked, one from Samuel and the other one from Leo. Samuel, you refer specifically to security risks, and Leo, you refer to more general. What about if customers are refusing to use the tool that you finally set up as a communication tool channel? You thought that it's great, but now customers are concerned of using that. So have you ever confronted that, and how did you deal with that?
I have a very short answer to Leo. One, we are playing in the collaboration tool of the customer so that we don't get that. And then only in SMB, in the mid-tier, we add customers that add before a Slack channel or Telegram or WhatsApp, and then we downgrade them to get service in our platform, actually in our product. But for enterprise, we will always play in their collaboration tool, in their instant messaging tool.
And therefore, security risks should be okay, right? Is that what
again, there's a risk there, but again, in Slack specifically, Slack works very, very highly on all these security risks and how we understand that there's another organization in this channel, etc. I'm in the Slack product group for Slack Connect, and they always speak about security and governance.
Okay. Oh, I know you're an expert in cyber, and you used hundreds of channels. So how do you see that?
Yeah, I'll be brief for both questions. Security risks. There are cases when you have very sensitive data to share, you don't want to share it with everybody on the channel. You can still use multiple channels at the same time, you know, Slack for immediate communication. When something is too sensitive to send over Slack, you can always use encrypted methods to send files and secure data, if that's what the question was about, because security is a big term, and hopefully I nailed it. On customers that are not willing to use the platform, the immediate messaging platform is just an option. It's optional for the customer. We can always use, in our case, we can always offer the customer the traditional mediums like email and others. So it's just another option. Just the reality is that many customers wanted to use Slack, an immediate messaging platform, over email and stuff like that. So that's just another option.
All right. Thank you. Now, please let me know if I'm beating a dead horse here. But what would be your tip for the audience? One thing to avoid when setting up using Slack channel or any communication channel with customers, what to avoid, what you tried and you paid a price for.
Don't tell them it's live and we'll answer immediately.
Okay.
it's not scalable, and you'll have to support it tomorrow and the next day.
But it's really tempting, right? To be the best, you say, oh yeah, we'll be there every time 24/7 for you. Don't.
We are customer success. We're not in the business of over promising, right? So I don't want to name drop the other functions that can do that.
Yes, sir.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Don't you dare to set it up before you have a clear list of limitations and processes around this. Don't do this. It's really hard to go back. So once you set it up, you need to make sure that you made the right decision and you put in place the processes that you can support. If you didn't, it's really impossible to go back. Really hard to change the mindset of a client from having it, you know, the way they want it, the time they want it, and then all of a sudden come back and say, oh, but we cannot support it this way.
All right. Cool. Anything to add on that? Nope. Okay. For the next question, and maybe you can start, Ziv, because I know you're very good at that. We all know that using Slack only to communicate with customers might be challenging. So what extra tools you have used for integration, for measurement, from prioritization, for anything to control the communication over these channels?
Again, first of all, we have an leading IAM channel pretty much for every country. So India will use WhatsApp, China, QQ, and WeChat. By the way, most of them will use walkie-talkie. They don't even write, and they are expecting you to walkie-talkie back right away. Slack is very, very strong in Europe and the US.
In US.
Yeah, we have hundreds of channels in Slack. And additional tools, again, definitely my next thing is to get the metadata of that messaging, not even the message, just to know who messaged from the customer, who messaged from the vendor, and to know the metadata of that. We do have a tool working from Looker that is able to look at channel by channel and get some statistics about the channel. What are the subjects in the channel? What is the responsiveness? Things like that. It works well in English, and nothing above that. But that's the main things that we have.
Okay, thank you. Varda, or any extra tools? Or you mentioned that you developed this and developed that. Can you share a little bit what you did? I would like our audience to get some practical tips in how to take away from today.
Yep, I'll be very specific. At some point in the past, we used Help to connect Slack to our support platform. Then we moved to an in-house implementation. Amit Zahavi mentioned Zapier. We used an equivalent to Zapier called Tray.io to connect Salesforce to Slack. So we can actually, just by using an emoji on a Slack message, it will create a ticket behind the scenes. Also, we implemented in-house. I also played with Worknet to get some very useful insights on top of what happens over Slack with our customers. So that's my short answer for this one.
Mm-hmm.
So Help as well. I think it's the most common one that is used. Zapier for many different integrations. With Slack, almost every product has integration today. So the CRM system is integrated. We also have Smartsheet integrated to Slack. So Smartsheet is where we manage our guns throughout the technical onboarding. So the customer knows at every given point where they at and what are the processes that were completed and what's the ETAs. So those are the things that are very helpful in terms of like managing everything within this channel and have all the information available to all different directions.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we heard multiple tools, multiple processes to tackle to make sure that you are covered at all angles. I'm obviously a little biased hosting from Worknet. And so when I heard you saying some of the names here, I will not repeat. I got cringe a little, but hopefully we can help you set up better communication. And I see the questions flowing in. We will answer probably all of them. I see that we do have time, but I'd like to move on to the fourth question. To what extent are you planning to use Slack with customers in the next couple of years? So this is just a single answer. Let's see what we got. Okay, so most of you said 42% that they are going to use Slack with most of the customers. Next, 1/3 of you said sporadically with some customers only, then 17% with premium services only that might go with a payment with that or not, and 8% of you not at all. That is interesting. I see that almost half are planning to use that with most of the customers, which this is the trend I hear about more and more. So thank you for that. Panelists, in your opinion, is using Slack with customer, is that a trend? So how do you relate to this? to the results here? Do you see that becoming the next big thing, or just flowing somewhere around these levels?
In my opinion, immediate messaging platforms are here to stay. People got addicted and they're going to keep on using it. To be honest, it's my first week in a new role, in a new company, not only for enterprises, for every developer in every organization. And now I'm rethinking that. I'm sure we'll keep using Slack with our customers. It's an early stage startup, so we have Slack with all of our customers today. So we're going to keep on using it, but at some point, since we aim for small and medium businesses as well, we'll have to rethink that onboarding only or premium services only. For now, as we are small and the qualitative feedback is so important, we're still doing Slack with all customers.
Yeah, as I said before, I think that there's a huge opportunity here for products, new products and products above Slack. I think that Slack, again, it's not their focus, but I think they have a huge opportunity to become a competitor, maybe even to win over Zendesk on the support side. I think on the customer success side, big advocates of relationships. I think that the relationship there's a big part of the relationship happens in instant messaging. So when I have a very good relationship with a customer, then it goes from Slack to WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with everything that was said here. I would just say that I think that the ecosystem and in general, the marketplace that's going to be around Slack is only going to grow. And we'll see more and more products that will help tackle different problems that using Slack as is just can't solve. So I do think that we're going to see it's being used more and more. I do think that people are going to monetize it, meaning you want this premium service, you want the white glove treatment, you need to pay for it. And rightly so, to be honest.
Thank you. I'd like to move to answer some of the questions we got here. But we don't have much time. So let's be brief on this, maybe even just one panelist answer. So jump in if you feel very strongly about that. So Odena asked, regarding expectations, back then when we talked about expectations, how do you manage public criticism or frustration impacting the rest of the channel members? So along the benefit of having one team collaboration and everyone is aware of everything, you can always have one who is frustrated. And how do you manage that to avoid like a collective downfall? That's a hard one, huh?
Yeah, I must say that we had those from time to time, like an angry manager going into the channel and like saying, why is it not progressing? What is the problem here? And you just need to make sure that there's someone in this channel that can properly like diffuse this and reply to those answers like very professionally without dragging it to more of like back and forth, a negative conversation. So just coming with the facts, explaining what the issues are, suggesting, to take it over a call and just diffuse the situation. And you're going to have those from time to time. Someone will be angry about something and they will bring it out in the channel. And to be honest, we have vendors that we work with in joint channels. And from time to time, you're like a bit frustrated about something. Hey, you're sending me this notification about the new version release, but I have a ticket that is pending for 2 weeks. This is what I want to hear back from you. So there's always going to be some kind of a frustration, whatever, anger. Just need to make sure that there's someone that is super professional that can answer this immediately, diffuse this, and take it outside of the channel to a side conversation.
Thank you. Or if you can take Daniel Goldfeld's question about the benchmark for a number of ongoing channels per customer success manager.
Sure. For me, with the tools we've implemented, we got to a point where every customer each has a channel. So the more high touch customer success professionals manage 3 to 5 customers, to the more low touch, I would say in the dozens for each CS professional.
Wow. Okay. Cool. I'll move on. Another question by Daniel. Thank you. How do you document all those communication measure them and have transparency for other teams or other roles? And how do you check history of that? Okay.
Yeah.
From my side, I think one, again, we are trying to use Slack Connect APIs to connect to Salesforce. It's funny to say that like Salesforce and Slack is the same company, and we are trying to use Slack APIs to connect to Salesforce. In the meantime, we have, our customer success managers knows that when they have something major to update in the relationship, if it happened in Slack Connect, then they go to Salesforce, or they can do it from Slack using Troops just to update what happened. It's like a milestone, so that it will be documented. It's like it can be a meeting, it can be an EBR, QBR, it can be something that happened in Slack that we want to know about. So that's my chase for the metadata.
All right. Cool. Thank you. Leo, to your question, I think we somewhat referred to that, Varda referred to that in her previous answer about crossing the boundaries between official and in maybe going a little over. So I hope that answered that. We are about to get to the top of the hour, and I would really like to hear our panelists sharing their tips of if you in the audience are about to kick off communication channels with your customers, what tips can you give them? So what are your 1-2 best tips you can give? What to do tomorrow morning to establish a stellar communication channel?
I can start. Define your use cases. Start with that. Okay, you don't need to think of it as one broad topic that has to cover everything. All right, look at the relationship as a whole and think about what are the most critical use cases, what are the most critical junctions or part of the journey that you have with your clients, where you think instant messaging will be beneficial and would be manageable. So try to think about those different use cases before you look at this as a very holistic solution for everything, because it's really hard to cover everything. So this is my first tip, like just, discuss internally, think about what are the most necessary use cases to cover with this. And then like, once you decide on those use cases, put processes in place before you kick this off.
I'll focus 3 things. I'll, first of all, list your communication channels. So I'm chasing mine. I don't know how many we have. I think that to have one centralized place to know how many channels you have. A set of expectations we said here, I'll say it again because I think it's really, really important. And related and not related, measure relationships.
Funny, what I had on my list is start small. So it's related to what Varda said. Start small can be only with specific customers, only for the onboarding, a different use case. Start small so you can control it, define your roles and responsibilities, who should answer, support, success, how, SLAs, and also what the customer has to do. Do they have to do something in order to flag something as a ticket or not? Very important. And for Ziv's last point, my last tip was measure, but what should be measured? The impact of trying out Slack. Measure if it's an onboarding, measure the time to value before and after. If it's about improving the relationship, like Ziv said, measure the relationship, the NPS, or however you score the relationship. But if you try something, make sure you measure the impact so you can iterate or neglect it. If it only costs money and doesn't add any value, don't do that. But you might be surprised to see how much value you can get from something like that.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, Varda?
No, I just said it's a good point.
It's a very good point. Yes, it is. If I may add, I think if you haven't done that before and you want to start doing that, share that with your customers. Pick the best ones of them and tell them, like you have design partners or you have beta users. Tell them, I am thinking of doing that. Would you like to be my partner? To try and see how that goes. give me feedback. So be vulnerable, learn from those who are close to you, and then expand it slowly. And remember those who shared with you the initial steps and benefit them of something. All right, so we are about to close that. Last question I would like to ask the audience is more for us to know how much this webinar was successful and what's your interest in future webinars. So please let us know if you would be interested in attending our future webinars. Just one answer, of course, yeah, maybe, or nope, leave me alone. And I hope to see more on the upper side, of course, hint, hint. Let's see. Okay, so 40% of you said, of course, we'll make sure you get the invites. 55%, yeah, I learned something new today. I'm happy that you did. We tried our best to not just to talk theory and in high level, but really to take it down for you to get some practical tips and tricks. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thanks to the panelists, Varda, Ziv, all. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you in the next webinars too. Bye-bye.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Take care.
Appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Be good out there.